lesson for SM3. It's chapter 2.4, and I'm dividing it up into two sections. I'm going to teach you how to solve a 3x3 linear system in this lesson, but I'm just going to give you a couple of those to try. Most of this lesson is just going to be a review on how to do 2x2 linear systems. So with a 2x2 linear system, I don't know if you guys remember what a linear system is. This is when we have two lines and they cross each other, and where they cross is your solution. So in this case, X marks the spot. Okay. So what is a linear system? I kind of just talked about that. It's two lines. And so let's look at this. We've got two lines and we want to solve this by graphing. So I come over here and I need to remember that probably the easiest way to graph a line is to put it into slope-intercept form and then to go from there. So up here I'm going to have y equals, I'm going to move the 2x to the other side by subtracting. And down here I'm going to move y over here and 1 over here, if that makes sense. So I'm going to have y equals x minus 1. Okay? So I look here, here's my y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my slope is -2. So I'm going to go down 2 over 1. And I just like to do that a whole bunch. Okay, so here is my line basically. Okay, then this one, my y-intercept is -1, and my slope, there's no coefficient there, which means it's a 1, right? So my slope is 1. So I go up 1, over 1, and I just keep going. And X marks the spot. So the solution is 2, 1. So if I plug in 2 right here and 1, sorry, I had to think for a second. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, so that's how to solve it by graphing. Okay, that's not always the most convenient though. So there's a couple of other ways we can do that. And again, this is all review. I actually teach this to my SM1 kids. So it's probably been a little while. Okay, so how do we solve this using substitution? So what we do is we take one of these equations. I'm going to use the top one, and I'm going to make y, I'm going to get y by itself. And then what that equals to, I'm going to put in for this y. So if I get y by itself, I have y equals -2x plus 5. These are equal to each other. So just like if these two were goalies in a hockey game, okay, and I had to take, and this is the game, I have to take this goalie out and I have to put the other one in, right? So I'm going to take this y out and I'm going to put in this one. Okay? So I've got this negative, let me rewrite this right here. So I've got this negative right here, and I'm going to write it over here. I'm going to distribute the negative, so I've got x plus 2x plus, minus 5 equals 1. So I've got 3x minus 5 equals 1. I add 5 to both sides. 3x equals 6, which means x equals 2. Well, that's great, but now what? Well, I've got x. I can plug it in to one of these equations. I'm going to do that one because it's the easiest one. So I plug in 2, and I've got 2 minus y equals 1, so y equals 1. And you already knew that that was the answer because we just graphed it. Okay, so one last way that we can do this is by elimination, which is my favorite, and which is really the one that we're going to use the most when we solve a system of 3 by 3. And that means 3 unknowns and 3 equations. This is 2 unknowns and 2 equations, so we call it a 2 by 2. Okay, so I'm gonna rewrite this over here. I should have done that already, but okay. This is when we line them up. Okay, we put them in standard form and we line them up, and then we manipulate the equation if we have to let one of the variables drop out. Now in this case, we don't need to manipulate anything because I have y plus a negative y is 0, and that's the one that's going to drop out. So now I have 3x, this is 0, so that goes away, equals 6, x equals 2, and now I'm back to where I started, right? I've got x already. So 2 minus y equals 1, so y equals 1, and there's my answer again. This is really my favorite way, and this is what we're going to use when we solve the others. Okay, and we'll do that in the next video.